1979 Corvette body mount rubber change with the bolts. Leaving the body on, we're going to jack up one side, change them out, and then jack up the other side. There's no videos on YouTube for 1979. There is for 75, for an 80, 81, 63, all that. I haven't seen any for 79. So here you go. Shall we? I went through and I put them all up on jack stands. As you can see, everything's up on jack stands. Remove the rear wheels, remove the side shields here. Moving on. You got a mount right here. Can you get that? Okay. All right. You got another one here. This is behind the kick panel, passenger side. Go ahead and get in there. Right in there. Okay. You got another one that's back here behind this panel that you have to access from the rear wheel well right here. You take out 4 screws for this rear wheel well. And this is fiberglass, so don't panic. If that nut breaks off in there, you're not done. You can cut it right here, and I'll show you on the other side, and you can get access to it. But anyways, there's that one. And then your other one's right here. This one goes up to behind your speaker. And it's just got a capsulated nut on there. Guarantee it, the nut's gonna break loose in the housing, so you might as well just bust the rivets off and put a reinforcement plate up there and just put a nut up there when you go back with it. Moving on. On the driver's side. This is the one I had broke off right here. As you can see, I just cut the head of the bolt off, but the nut broke off up inside there, which is no biggie, you can get to it. So I just cut the head of the bolt off, and I'll just push it up through there like so. Alright. Sorry about that. So then we come to this one. Wheel well, same deal. As you can see, remove the panel, soaked it out. There's the bolt. Here's that fiberglass piece I was telling you. I just cut that out. And here it is. It's right here. Goes in there like that. And I'll end up just fiberglassing that back in. Never be able to tell it. But there's the nut housing. It's a capsulated shell right here. And there's a big square nut inside of it. And what I did is I drilled a hole here. And on this side, I ran a drift pin in just like that. Wedged it. I drilled a hole about a 1/4 inch, 932 hole, whatever. Spun that to where that nut was flat on that side, which you probably, you know, I'm not gonna do it, but anyways, you could drive that drift pin in there, drive it in there tight. That'll hold that. Then you can get this out. And even if you break the bolt, don't panic. When you lift this side of the frame up, you can pull it out there. So there's that one. Moving on. Don't step on my fiberglass. There's the other one down in there.
Is it? Oof. Eep. Okay. I see it.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. Let's show them these back ones real quick while we're here. You can see back there in the back that you held down by 2 rivets. The little encapsulation nut. We just busted the rivets off. Got it out. Okay.
Here we go. Yeah.
Moving on. Okay. I'm gonna come up here. This one here is where your fuel canister reservoir's at. It's right up in there. That's for your fuel vapors. I just removed the 2 bolts that are right here in this fender well. Just remove those 2 bolts and you just push the canister up out of the way so I had access to it. I cannot express this enough. Soak these in some kind of liquid wrench, super penetrating oil. I soaked all these bolts daily, every day, for over a week. They all came out with ease. The 2 that was in the bird cage, which is in the kick panel area, as I was bringing them out, and I did them all by hand, as I was bringing them out, it got 3/4 of the way and you could feel it binding up. So at that point I stopped, ran it back in, shot more penetrating oil down in there, let it soak for another day or two. The only one I had to cut was that rear one right back there, that one, and this one right here was the only 2 that I had to cut. So 2 out of 8 is not bad. It's not that bad to get those out. So then, from what I understand, you have to disconnect all this up here. Excuse me, Emma. Got my dog in the way. As you look up in here, you've got to take this front nose clip off because your frame comes through, and that bracket right there, those bolts right there, I believe, are holding the body to the frame there, this nose piece. Now, I'm not real sure, so we're going to start doing all that. I'll have to disconnect that, maybe get a hand holding this nose piece. I guess it'll just come right off. I've never done it, don't know. We're going to figure it out. And then also I read up on, let's go back to the engine. You have to disconnect your master cylinder from your power booster. So I assume I could just pull these 2 nuts right here, pull the master cylinder forward a little bit, and then you have to take and disconnect right there the rag joint of your steering column, that 12-point bolt that you're looking at right there. You might be able to see it better from over here, kid. This 12-point bolt right there.
Hold on. I'm getting there. Okay.
Got it? I think if you
Yep.
disconnect this, that allows this rag joint to come back. Now, I've read 2 things where you can disconnect this whole block here from the frame, or you can disconnect it at the rag joint. I'm going to do the rag joint. Whether I got to do it there or whether I got to do it here, I don't know. And then right down here, you see that your anti-skid brake block? I heard you got to loosen that up and remove it from the frame. So you got that, you got the rag joint, you got the master cylinder, you got this front nose clip right here, which is just going to be, I assume, this front bumper area right in here. And then you come back here to the back, and this rear section back here, you look right down here, see where those bolts are attached right there. I think we've got to loosen them up because that goes to the frame, and as you can see, it holds it to the body. Now, it's got shims. You're going to need to remember where everything goes, where the bolts were at, so you can put it all back to where it's supposed to be. And all of these body mounts could have shims in them, so when you pull the bolts out and you take the shims and you take the rubbers out, look to see if there's shims. If there's shims, you want to make sure you put the right number of shims back in, same spot. Moving on, we got one other thing over here. I believe this is the #1 body mount. Right here, there's a ground strap. Yeah, right there's a ground strap. You've got to disconnect this ground strap.
Where's that fiberglass?
Right there, that ground strap. You've got to disconnect that here, no biggie. And then if you come right back here to, what is this, #2, I guess? The driver's side rear well. The negative cable, as you can see it over the exhaust there where it comes out of that rubber bushing. That's your battery cable. I'm looking for the negative.
You're, oh, okay.